Namaste, everyone, and welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Kira, as you are, and today we are expanding consciousness. You know, my heart is singing with the song of love, with the song of freedom, and the fact that here we are in part 3 of this really important 4-part series on unraveling, becoming aware of, and actually attacking this consciousness of sin, really gazing beyond that and seeing how it impacts our lives. And today is a really powerful day because today I'm going to offer you 7 actual cues. These are really important insights that are going to help you understand if you are actually subconsciously sabotaging someone else's journey, if you are actually interfering with the path of another. So, big day ahead. You might want to have a pencil, and thank you for being here. You know, let's take a minute and first and foremost bring our hands to our heart. And as we do, let us breathe in the gift of knowing that we are in this moment of divine conscious awareness. We're going to breathe that in with the energy of the word Ave, because the word Ave is hail, welcome, hello. We breathe that in through our nose. And then when we exhale, we're going to exhale the word Sa, which is this infinite energy, this infinite release. And then we smile, because when we smile, we send a signal. It's this beautiful signal that we send to our soul that says, yes, I am here and I am not a victim and I am ready to soar. So you ready to soar? All right, let's do this. So we're going to breathe in Ave, exhaling with a smile. Let's do that one more time. Breathing in Ave, exhaling, and bringing all that energy into your heart. Yeah, just bringing all that energy into your heart. And as you do, as you bring that energy into your heart, I want to again thank you for supporting Expanding Consciousness. I want to thank you for gathering with me. Whether this is your first time or your millionth time, I'm just so grateful that you are here, because you are the vessel of conscious awareness in this form, in this field of potentiality. And that is the gift that you bring with every breath, the illuminated presence of conscious awareness. And so I thank you for finding this, whether you're finding us in real time, 100 years from now, millions of years from now, matters not. You are here, and I am grateful. So today, as I mentioned earlier, this is our 3rd journey in a 4-part series. And this 4-part series is about the consciousness of sin. It's about unraveling that. And this is a very important moment, because at this time on our planet, when we have a convergence of so many different prophetic times, and we look at the rise of the Kali Yuga, and a time when the truth will be known as lie and the lie will be known as a truth, well, this is the perfect moment to say, okay, in my experience of this body of form, I am ready to remember that I am beyond this body of form, that this is merely a temporal experience, and that this concept, this consciousness of sin, is merely part of having been groomed, aware, growing in this field where we choose to grow through fear, where fear is our planetary thought body. Okay. So if anything I just said, you're saying, Kira, what are you saying? I have no idea. Can you say that again? What I'm going to challenge you to do is go back and watch more episodes. Go back and watch the first 2 episodes of the series, and then make sure you go into the archives and really, you might want to start at the beginning and just start really paying attention, because you're here for a reason. Your consciousness is expanding. And you can always leave me a comment right here in the chat, because I do look at all the comments and I do respond to all the comments. So if you have a question or a concern, put it right here. Let me have an opportunity to say hi to you and to answer that question. So here we are. We are at this moment where we have this opportunity to release this consciousness of sin, to be able to thrive through our own self-awareness, to be able to grow in this gift of multi-dimensional presence in this body of form. And paying attention to all of that, I like to synthesize this into the way we all began, which is this beautiful sharing from Archangel Zadkiel so many and not so many years ago in this potentiality, that when asked about sin, when asked if there was sin, what is sin, Archangel Zadkiel laughed, just first laughed and said, well, if there is one sin, it is to interfere in the path of another. Really breathe that in. Or to let another interfere in your path. Now, before I give you these 7 signs that you could be doing just that, I want to review, I want to go back to, so what is Archangel Zadkiel really saying with that? If there is one sin, it is first, let's look at that first half of it. It is to interfere with the path of another, because that's where we're really diving today. We really are. And next week, we're going to dive into the second half of that. But this is very much about to interfere with the path of another. Because interfering with the path of another can be so subtle and so soft and so discerning in the way that it manifests, that we often don't even know we're doing it. We're not aware we're doing it. We're not even thinking about it. And so this is something that really calls in a depth of self-reflection, to be able to rise through loving yourself enough that you can love others enough to free them to have their journey. Now, one of the most challenging ways for me to describe this, because it's my own personal story, and it's not that it's challenging that it's my personal story, it's that the way it unfolded. And that is that, let's look at our children. Let's really pay attention to our children. So those of us that have children, whether you have children or not, those of you that have affinity toward children, what I have noticed in my experience of this, and what has been asked of me over the 25 years of public service and counting that I have been in, was to have to really live the knowing that each being carries the sacred sequence of incarnation within themselves. Each is incarnating at the exact same time, at the exact right moment, in the exact same space, to fulfill the expansion of conscious awareness for this aspect of beingness. And in this field of potentiality, we have something known as blood. And blood, red blood, is for one reason, keep this body going. It binds us to this body of form. And so blood is very much about this field of creation, about this specific body of form, about sustaining that. And in this specific field, blood becomes all powerful in many different ways, because blood is only of this realm. It is the least needed in our consciousness of anything. We only need blood for one reason, this body, to sustain it. So there's an undue amount of power that is given to blood. There is an undue amount of value that is given to blood when it comes to our conscious, not our conscious, I'm going to call it our spiritual awareness. I'm going to go to point 9 in the template of consciousness on this one, because this really is a spiritual awareness. And in that spiritual awareness, as we climb through the pyramid of spiritual awakening, and I'm going to put that up here so you can remember what that is, because remember, we're born into this pyramid of spiritual awakening. Density consciousness is where blood is. And that's because it's all about density. It's all about this form. And so we become aligned with that. We become, all of our belief systems, everything comes in through that. And as we move through that, often as parents, we believe that we own our children. We believe that for whatever reason, we need to surrender all that we are so that they can be. All the while modeling self-sacrifice, which really goes back to last week's episode, right? Because self-sacrifice is victim consciousness. There must be a victim, a rescuer, an abuser, thereby an attachment to dogma. Now track with me, and I know you can, and if you need to, rewind and listen to that again. So here we are in the essence of, if there is one sin, it is to interfere with the path of another. And you might say, well, Kira, how dare you say that? You know, these are my kids and blah, blah, blah. Yes, they are. And they need your coaching, and they need your love, and they need your presence, and they need to have the journey that they came to have, and the least amount of interference, because there's always going to be some form, but the least amount of conscious interference that we call forward frees each being to have a greater gift of awareness. So frequently, when it comes to these subtle energies of sabotaging another's journey, without us even knowing it, it comes from this false sense of responsibility. It comes from a sense of obligation, which, when anything comes from a sense of obligation, is outside the realm of free creation. What is free creation? Free creation is the energy of the universe pouring through you in your multidimensional presence, able to be the witness of the witnesser, witnessing again, so that you're able to see yourself through the field of non-judgment, thereby releasing that which would hold you back. Yeah, remember, you can leave me a comment and ask me questions. So I want to offer you these 7 signs, right? These are 7 signs that you're unknowingly sabotaging. And what's so interesting is that each one of these 7 signs also has a very specific energy to it. And so since we're in the field of victim consciousness, since we're going through fear, why not start with number 1, which would be the energy of the victim? So you know that you are navigating victim energy when, and this is the number 1 sign that you're unknowingly sabotaging, and it comes from victim energy. And you know it because it's when you feel it's your job to say something, to be heard at all costs, to override the wishes of another. It's no, 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 I have to say something. I have to say it. I have to say it. I have to say it, no matter what. That is actually the energy of victim consciousness. And it's actually a way that you're unknowingly sabotaging another's journey, that you're actually interfering. Because having to say what you want to say to be heard at all costs is coming from a victim that's saying, I need to be heard. And so in that energy, it is important to look at yourself and realize you are not a victim. You're a teacher. What is that moment teaching you? So really breathe that in, right? Especially in terms of freeing yourself. And so let's go to number 2, because if there's a victim, what else do we have? We got a rescuer, right? So you know that you're in rescuer energy and that you are unknowingly sabotaging or interfering if you spend time, and I mean significant amounts of time, you lose time worrying about someone else's decision. That you're absolutely obsessed with that, because that's the rescuer. I've got to make, I'm worried about this decision they're doing, worrying and obsessing about someone making the wrong decision is an energy of the rescuer. Well, in that moment, that's when you bring your hands to your heart and realize there is nothing to rescue. Stand and be the mentor. Be the mentor in that moment. Mentor yourself in that moment, knowing that the energy of fear breeds the rescuer and the energy of trust invites others to be. And that brings us to number 3. We've got a victim and we've got a rescuer. We got to have what? An abuser. So an abuser is the one who you're so overly involved, so overly concerned that the other person now refuses to make decisions, will not make decisions. You are making all the decisions for this person, and they have literally given away their power. That is the abuser energy. And that is important to remember, because that abuser energy, this victim energy, rescuer, abuser, and these first 3 steps, all of these are unknowing sabotage. They are actually interfering with the path of another and allowing you to interfere with your own path by doing so, right? So it brings us to number 4. Number 4 is a big energy on this planet. It's the energy of justification, especially self-justification, right? The I am right all the time. And so you know that you're in the energy. This is number 4. It's kind of like that bridge from victim, rescuer, abuser. We go to justification. And because the justification wants to hold on. And so justification energy is basically why you're telling someone that they're wrong at all costs. You just have to tell them why they are wrong. It's not about saying anything, which is the victim energy. This is justification. This is, I am the only one that's right. This is justification and you are wrong, period. And basically going forward with telling someone they're wrong at all costs. And I want to invite you that justification energy has a sense of righteousness. And many, many years ago, I learned that I would really rather be happy than right. Right is transient. Happy is forever. And so when we let go of our need to justify, it relaxes us and we stop, we release. And let's look at number 5, because number 5 is a big human attribute, and that's arrogance. So through our arrogance, we unknowingly sabotage. And the way that arrogance normally comes forward is by a refusal to allow someone to grow through their own process. I mean, an absolute refusal. You know better. They are not allowed to grow through their own process. You're either terrified they're going to fall and hurt themselves, or whatever it is, you override their ability to grow. And that's actually an arrogance energy. And it brings us to just 2 more. Number 6, grandiosity. Grandiosity is a really powerful energy on this planet, especially when it comes to unknowingly sabotaging others. And in many ways, we're interfering with ourselves as well. And so grandiosity plays out in the energy of a sense that you know better. Bottom line, you know better, and that's all there is to it. And in carrying the sense that you know better, you don't even need to say anything. It is an energy that intimidates and thereby invites a strong sense of self-sabotage in others. And lastly, we have number 7, which is the eternal essence energy that we're working through in a planetary thought body of fear. And that's the spin of jealousy, greed, and competition. Jealousy, greed, competition. Jealousy, greed, competition. Jealousy, greed, and competition are the foundation of density consciousness. And what they lead to is often a unknowing, although sometimes conscious, an unknowing sabotage of others by undermining their confidence, by doing so at the sake of making yourself feel better, by inviting someone to feel less than about themselves. And this is really important. And these 7 energies, victim, rescuer, abuser, justification, arrogance, grandiosity, and the jealousy, greed, competition loop, these 7 are the signs that you are unknowingly sabotaging another. And to remember that while you are sabotaging another, you are in always sabotaging yourself. This is that moment to break free. The consciousness of sin is shifting. We are in an alchemical transformation in 2026. You are ready to say yes, to be all that you are beyond that which you have ever been. And in this moment, I honor you for being here now and look forward to being with you next week when we culminate this incredible series and break free. And remember that I am as you are. I love you and look forward to being with you next week.